In this video I'll be repotting this Pyracantha or Firethorn into a bonsai pot. So let's get started. Pyracanthas or Firethorns are considered good bonsai for beginners because you can prune them really hard and they will backbud into old wood really easily. So don't be afraid of cutting too much, it will recover easy. They also get white flowers on them in spring, and they do get, depending on the variety, yellow, orange or red berries that lasts from middle summer to all the way into autumn. So let's get started repotting this Pyracantha. Okay, the first thing I like to do when repotting, before I even touch the tree, is to prepare the pot. And I do that by securing a piece of mesh over the drainage hole so that when we water the tree, the soil doesn't run out through the drainage hole. So you take your piece of wire and you just put it one end through the mesh like this, the other end there, then at the bottom you just fold it flat and that's it. The mesh is secured. Now the next step is to take the plant out of the container. I like to just squeeze it gently, making sure it's loose, or you can just use a chopstick and go all around the edges of the pot or the container, loosening it up a bit. And be careful because the Firethorn has lots of, well, thorns on it because it's called the Firethorn. Okay. Let's see. Easy to get out. Now it is time to rake out the roots. Firethorns are easy to grow in subtropical areas. They are frost hardy, but they do get wind burn. But don't worry if they do get wind burn. If some of the leaves, like this one, they will get some burn on them, but they will regrow in spring really easily. So don't worry if a couple of leaves get wind burned, because they will grow easily again. So I'm just gonna rake out from the base outwards. Just rake. So the roots have grown really in a spiral in the pot, so I'm just trying to untangle them. So this one was tangled all around this thick root, so that's why it was so difficult to get it out. So I'm gonna give this roots a little bit of a wash to see what's going on, so I can untangle them some more. Okay, I've washed the roots. Now I can see the dangling mess a lot better. So there's lots of roots at the bottom. I'm trying to untangle, but what I'm gonna start with is taking off these higher roots. So there's some roots that are, because the soil was about high up here, there's a root that came directly above the soil line. So I'll take that root off because I'm not gonna need it. It's too high up. And then there's another thick one that's also very high. Not sure if you can see it. Yeah, so this one is also going. And you can see it, it's a big one. Yeah. There's another thick root at the back that splits into two. One goes up again and the other one goes down. So I'll be taking it back. Maybe, well, I'll take out the one that goes back up again. So you can see another big piece. Because you need to, when you do root pruning, you need to figure out where your root plane is, where the soil line will be, and where you want your surface roots to appear first. You can see it basically separates into like a ball at the bottom and then a ball at the top. So we actually don't need this whole piece. Yeah, there's plenty of roots still at the top. So this thick one took off the top part. I think what I'm going to do is prune it back, because there's two. Now I think I'm going to take off this root completely, or as close as possible to the other roots. Just like that. This whole spiral goes away. So there's some very long roots that I'll just take back. There's a root that probably hit the edge of the pot or something, or a piece of rock, and then diverted. So I'm gonna just prune it shorter, just above where it got diverted. And now it's just shortening these, and then you end up with a nice piece of radial root system. There's not too many roots on this side of the tree, but I'm sure there's some that will develop. Now we can give the roots another spray. Okay, pots usually also have a front, just like trees. Because it's always handmade and fired in the furnace, so sometimes the glaze will run down more on the one side than the other, or something that makes the pot really unique. So if I look at the foot on this side is a little bit more obscured than the 2 feet on this side, so I think this pot, this side is my front of the pot. So let me show you the foot on this side. It goes in a little bit more than the 2 feet on this side. So this is the front of my pot. So then put a little layer of gravel over the drainage screen. This just helps the drainage so that the soil won't flow out of the pot when you water it, and also it helps with the roots so that the roots won't grow into the mesh and you will struggle when you repot it again. So the next thing is to put a base layer of soil in. Next step is to choose a front for your tree. So let me see. Okay, after a base layer of soil has been put in the pot, you can now, and you've decided on the front of the tree, now you need to decide the height of the soil and where the tree is in relation, how deep it is in the pot. I think I'm going to put it higher. Okay, once it's in the pot, you can comb the roots a little bit more if you want to, just making sure they are nice and radial and untangled. Once you have it positioned, you can put some more soil in. And another tip that I can give you guys, if you film your repottings, make sure you have a bottle of water close by, because you won't be pressing buttons on your camera while your hands are full of soil. 3 videos in and I already learned that lesson. Once you have put the soil in, go with a chopstick and just make sure there's no air pockets between the roots. You can just do this and press the soil in as well. You might need to refill some parts or just take it from the one side to the other. And now the next step is to plant some ground cover if you want, or moss. But what I'm gonna do as well is just sprinkle some rocks over the top. Making use of like pebbles or rocks is a good way to discourage birds from trying to get the moss or put their beaks into the soil, thinking there's lots of worms and things in there. Once the potting is complete, we can now start the pruning process. So the first branch I'm going to take off is this branch at the front, going directly towards the viewer, because I want to be able to see the trunk line going up. So I'll be taking off this branch. Like that. Now you can see the trunk line a lot better. What I want to do is shorten this very long branch over here, and I've pruned it off about here, I think, previously, and that's why this branch came out and then this one. But this whole section is still fairly soft. Firethorns do harden quickly. That's why they're not really good for wiring. That and the thorns also doesn't make it good for wiring. But yeah, the branches are very brittle, and I would advise not to try and wire them. They don't like wiring. They split off quite quickly. But I'm gonna take it off fairly hard, like that. So it's quite a big piece I took off, shortening the whole thing. But don't worry about taking off too much. Like I said, this bonsai is considered good for beginners for the fact that you can cut back a lot, and it will backbud on old wood really easily. This one only there. I want to reduce the height as well a bit. A thick one at the top here that I can take back. Maybe over here. So there's two branches on this side, and that's why it looks a little bit off balance at the moment, but I'm hoping to grow this one either out, or hoping for another something else that, like this one coming out, and maybe I'll prune it to go that way. But I can shorten this one as well at the back. Now this one can go back just a little bit, not too much. You can see it's a lot smaller than it used to be. It's a little bit unbalanced on this side, but over time it will develop nicely over the whole pot. You can see the branches that I took off, not too many, and I'll also try and root these as cuttings, because firethorns can be propagated through cuttings, so I'll be trying to root them. Now that everything is done, I can go in and give the plant a nice watering. I don't have a turntable yet, so I'll just move it by hand. So this is the front, then from the side, from the back, the other side, and then back to the front. Thank you for watching the repotting of this Pyracantha or Firethorn. If you enjoyed the video, give the video a like, and please make sure to subscribe for more weekly videos. And until next time, cheers.